Greetings, nerds. This is SNN Nerd. I'm your host, Sarah Belmont, and with me, as always, is our Mr. Producer, Will Polk. How are you doing tonight, Will?
Doing very well, Sarah. How you doing this evening?
Doing fine. It's Thursday. We're back.
We're back on a Thursday. Yeah, it feels right to be back on a Thursday. I don't feel rushed to, especially with these Wednesday drops, to try to power through two shows and then try to talk about them articulately.
Well, to me, it's like three shows because Superman
Yeah,
and Lois, I watch it the next night. I don't watch it live,
yeah.
and so I get that on Wednesdays. But I have not watched the most recent episode. Like it's weird. I haven't gone into the CW verse in like a week.
Yeah, me neither.
Did you see the headline? And I have not watched The Flash since I told everyone I am stopping The Flash. I'm done with this show. This show, no, I can't take it anymore. I have not watched, and I will not watch because of this reason. But it did make me laugh when I saw the Flash plans to bring back Arrow's daughter.
Yeah, I saw that headline. I did see that Mia Smoke is coming back. I think I even tweeted it from her page. And so speaking of the Flash, so I stumbled across a YouTube channel that had that had clips from the show.
Mm-hmm.
And because I've been kind of back when I saw that the last week's episode was going to be a bottle episode, primarily focused on Allegra. I was just like, okay, checking out. But then I saw the clip where it was the Barry was with Mina Dewallen,
Mm-hmm.
who I remember from some, reading the comic books and some of the comics from a few years ago when they reboot the series there. This character. So I watched the clip and I was like, damn, it was really, really good. Now, so I ended up going to the episode, and sure enough, I probably fast forwarded through about 80, probably 90% of it, because really it was like 90% Allegra, who apparently, I guess Eric Wallace created that character in the comic. So that's why he is all about Allegra and, sidelining Barry, and, and I guess at this point, Candace Patton may return, who knows, because
So weird.
Yeah, it's so weird because how he sidelined the stars of the show. That's a discussion for another day. But I watched it and I was like, this is got me intrigued. And then speaking of headlines, I saw a headline today. I guess again they teased the whole Diggle Green Lantern thing again. So I am going to watch this week's episode because apparently I have heard very positive things about it. So it's sort of like the line, just, I think The Godfather, just when I think that I'm out of here, they keep dragging me back in again. I'm paraphrasing, I know, but I feel that way about The Flash. Just when I think I'm really done with, I've quit this show. And I know for a while I was just watching it out of habit, but I think it's a habit that's hard to kick. Is there not?
I'm out. I'm totally out of the show. You will not drag me back in unless I'm forced to. Because I know the moment I do, it's going to be a stupid episode. The moment I'm like, okay, I hear good things about it. I just don't. I don't know. It takes a lot. The confusing thing about Mia Smoke being back for me is I could have sworn that actress, she is set to lead the prequel to the Walker series.
That is correct.
I could have sworn that she was. So I don't understand if it's just going to be a little blip here, or if she's going to be, or how that all gets worked out. I find it very funny if suddenly in the final season of The Flash, they start bringing all of this Arrow legend to life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just like, man, you guys are just throwing it you totally gotten off script. Totally just holding on for dear life at this point. But that's The Flash. We're not here to talk about it tonight. We are here to talk about the Joker 2, which appears like it's going to be a musical. And so, of course, if you're going to have a musical and you're going to need a Harley Quinn, who else would you get than Lady Gaga?
Yeah. Yeah.
All he sees is Oscar, Oscar, Oscar.
Yep. Totally. Yeah. And the funny thing about it, I don't know if I know Joaquin is, I guess, still in talks. I haven't seen anything.
You can't do this without him.
Yeah. Well, he's gonna sign on. I don't know if they've got it locked. I think they're still in negotiation and stuff. But when I saw that they were hiring her and she was on board, I was like, because we talked about last week on our last episode we talked about how Todd Phillips teased that they were indeed doing a sequel, and we were kind of like, okay, well, the first one was really like one of those films that I won't say it was a masterpiece, but it definitely was one of those where it's like, if you do a sequel, like as you rightfully noted, don't come in with some weak sauce. I mean, you need to, it's gotta eclipse the original, right? And
yeah, definitely.
And so with musicals, ooh.
I feel like you're walking a tightrope. You're just like, I might say this, I might not say this, but with
I don't
musicals,
know. It may work, but well, I guess it's like, okay, this is a safe genre to do a musical in, because normally, I guess, we think of like West Side Story and The Heights and some of the other theatrical musicals that we've had recently. They have been critically acclaimed, but relatively box office flops. And I guess, but they are going the route of a musical with this Joker sequel. They're like, okay, we are going into a genre that's red hot right now, and we're going to have a bankable star in Lady Gaga and Joaquin with his Oscar. And so,
well, I don't think it's Joaquin with his Oscar. I think the Joker is the star. Like that character, you could replace him with anyone, and like people will still go to see it. That's what the Joker proved with that release of that movie and the success. Like, critics claimed, because it's a brilliant movie, which I think it is that type of movie where I think it will be shown in film school. I think people who have, I don't think it's commercial, but because it's connected, because it's the Joker, it does appear more commercial. And I think, to your point, like, adding the musical element makes you realize, okay, this really is going to be a fresh take. They're going to continue the narrative in a very different way. And they're going all in on this. And we haven't seen a comic book musical.
No, not on the big screen.
We're close with Hawkeye.
We did. Yeah, we did see that in Hawkeye. We had the episode, speaking of the Flash, I mean, we did have the episodes some years ago with Grant and Melissa.
Right, but I mean, like, the big screen.
Yeah. Nothing like this on the big screen, for sure. And
it's going to be rated R. It's going to be Chicago.
Yep. Yeah. It'll be, that's there you go. That's a very good point. At Chicago, but like you said, continue with the narrative. And will it be Arthur's flex in his head, like what we saw in the first Joker? Maybe, most likely.
If they get Gaga, I would do it from her perspective.
It
be the torment and like have it really be the Harley Quinn origin story. Sorry, Margot, but like the true origin story, and like these, like, because we've been in his head.
That's true.
We saw that for like, what, that movie felt so long, 2.5 hours. That Even though it's a musical, I think it'd be more interesting from her perspective than from his perspective.
I think you're right, and that would be the fresh way to take on the story.
Right, exactly. But yeah, so I agree. I think that last week, totally different song, pun intended, about this movie, or totally different tune. But this week, much more excited for it, curious about it. If they don't get Gaga, then Lord help you.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of actresses can dance and sing and all of that, but did you see A Star Was Born? Did you see it? Yeah. Yeah. I still haven't seen that other movie, the Gucci one.
Yeah.
That she was in, but I think that kind of proved Gaga can sell films as long as she's singing in them.
Yep, exactly.
But man, and did you see, like, speaking about Margot Robbie, did you see the Barbie photos?
I saw the photos. I haven't watched the teaser trailer yet, but I did see the photos, and I guess Anna, the Armas, is I'm thinking about you know what I haven't seen. You're talking about Barbie. I'm thinking about Marilyn. That was the one up today. Yeah, but I did see that. Well, I didn't see Margot. I did see Gosling's photo on the poster they had on Instagram.
Yeah, I saw Gosling's, and then later I saw like a photo of her in the car and him like standing there. A lot of orange, very orange. Very orange. I'm like, this movie, I kind of forgot they were doing it.
Yeah, I did too.
I saw these photos and I'm like, okay. Lord help us if the next Best Picture Academy Award winning film is Barbie.
It very well might be.
Yeah, but you're curious because you're like, why is Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie doing this if it wasn't something like bigger? And don't say for the paycheck, because Ryan Gosling, look at his filmography. He doesn't really do things for the paycheck.
He does not. He definitely does not.
He might do things because he has 2 daughters. So I don't know. Very weird. I also think it's funny how there's all of this stuff about the Marilyn Monroe dress being damaged by Kim Kardashian. And then amidst that, they're like, let's drop a trailer or teaser for Blonde, who stars Ana de Armas, who, like, she's great. I would have never picked her to play Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Yeah. But when I saw the still photo of her today, they had dropped a still photo, and they had another photo with of Marilyn in one of many iconic poses, and I was like, it works.
Yeah, I'm sure that they're gonna make it work. It's curious where it'll land, because this isn't the first biopic about her to drop. I remember when Michelle Williams did it. No one really saw that movie, so we'll see. I feel like there's also another one brewing somewhere.
Well, there's Elvis that's coming out, and then
Elvis is just no.
Yeah. Speaking of Elvis and Tom Hanks, did you see Tom Hanks today? You got Tom Hanks is a regular guy, just like everybody. If somebody like gets in your way, it was just. I guess he and Rita were coming out of some event or somewhere, and some crazy fans like got in the way and almost knocked over Rita, and Tom was just like, back the fuck up, get back.
That's hilarious. And I did not see that, but I'm walking here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people were wrong. I mean, if I were Tom Hanks,
he didn't hit anyone.
He did not hit anyone. Nope. He just kind of like, it was amazing. It was like Tom just very firmly just said back up, and everybody just kind of paused and like, I'm sorry, Mr. Hanks. I'm sorry, Mr. Hanks. It was just like, all right, we pissed off Tom Hanks. We've pissed off our national treasure here. We were wrong, and everybody just kind of backed off, said their apologies. Tom just went into his truck, and they went away. But it was like, wow.
Man, that's crazy. I wish I'll see if I can find that clip.
Yeah, it's like everywhere. Just go to TMZ or any number of spots. You'll find it on Twitter. Just click on you'll see it trending Tom Hanks.
I'm just trying to see. Okay. Handmaid's Tale season 5 is going to drop September 14th. Okay. I just saw that on Facebook. I needed to verify the date because that show, and Will, you've heard me talk about this show. Like there are seasons when I'm like, I haven't watched it. I know it's out. It's a lot. And then when I do watch it, it just sucks me in.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but the last season, very precarious place to leave it. So I've been like, about the time for Handmaid's Tale. Where is it? So September 14th. Good deal. Good deal.
That's your kryptonite.
I don't know how many more seasons yet, but interesting.
Yeah, that's your kryptonite show. Just when
that's
you think
you're done with
it. That's your kryptonite show. Just when you think you're done with it, they pull you back in.
Well, it's. Yeah, well, there are episodes I've not watched. Okay. Well, I'm the type of person where if I leave a show, I'm not gonna like come back and rewatch old things because there's so many summaries. But this, like, it's okay. I have to be truthful. I am kind of avoiding talking about the shows tonight. Not because I thought they were bad. Not because I thought they were bad, but because I'm gonna be truthful. I don't have much to say about any three of them. They're fine. They did stuff. Things happened.
Yeah. I'm
not blown away by anything. And speaking about that, like I'll get right on into Obi-Wan.
Okay.
And Reva, shall I say. First of all, Kamal is back. Loved it. He had scenes. Too short. I like this episode. I like it a lot better than the previous 2 episodes because they had a lot of character building, especially with Reva, Tala, and I did like the parallel between Anakin as a Padawan versus Obi-Wan in the past, and then what's the struggle that's happening now. Like I did like that. However, stop beating up the Jedis and then just leaving them when we have one episode next and we know she's not dead. And it's gonna bother me all next episode. I'm like, she was stabbed through the stomach with a saber, and I didn't see any back to takes around. Okay, I mean, from what I've seen in this show, apparently it takes 5 minutes in the back to tank, and you're all healed. Well, I don't know whose his name was doing all last season, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's more not necessarily. I guess if you're a Sith, you don't need a back to tank. You just need this to be just pissed off all the freaking time, and then that'll just be enough to cure you, because that's what fueled Vader, and that's what clearly fueled the Grand Inquisitor 1, who of course that was I knew that he was coming back because I've watched Rebels, so they're not going to break canon too much in these shows. I mean, they'll adjust things here and there, but they can't completely break canon when we know 4 years later he's going to be hunting down Ezra Bridger and Kanan Jarrus and everyone else. So I was just wondering, okay, when are he going to show up again? And so, and plus his race apparently also has a second stomach. So I guess that was the other piece too. So, so there were medical and force reasons for why, Sith reasons why he was Grand Inquisitor was able to survive. But with Reva, because when I was watching the episode, because obviously she did get stabbed in the stomach on the one planet, But whenever they were, I wasn't clear, at least the first time, whenever she was a youngling. And of course, that was the obvious call that we called way back at probably the first or second episode, that she was one of the younglings who saw Anakin in the Jedi Temple, and that's how she put 2 and 2, 1 plus 1 together. I guess with her path to the dark side, that anger and that revenge is what sustained her from the very beginning, and maybe that's why they recruited her to be an Inquisitor, because whenever we see the flashback scenes, Vader's like, I figured it out. Of course I knew who you were, youngling, and he stabs her. They cut back to her as a child, and it looks like she did get stabbed with his blue saber when he was still, when he was first pre getting turned into the, and put in the iron lung. And then of course we cut to the present day. So I guess that's where that anger and that sieging rage, it was what sustained her, because Qui-Gon got the same injury, and of course he died. So basically the moral of the story is, if you want to live forever, just be a Sith. Because if you're a Jedi, if you get stabbed in the stomach, you're gonna die.
But she wasn't a Sith when she was a youngling.
No, but I think the anger, and the feelings of betrayal, like my Jedi family let me down. And
are you supposed to make me like this show instead of despise it even more than I already do?
I'm loving. Hey, we're on opposite sides of the table on this one, because I'm really loving this show. I
know.
Yeah, and so I know I can't pull you over to like. I know you're not gonna love it, and I fully recognize there are some structural storytelling beats that are hard to get past sometimes.
Well, I was perfectly fine with the flashbacks, because I thought I liked how that played into explaining more about her motivations for current day and where she was and why she was doing what she was doing. And it also gave room for that vulnerability of, there are children back there. Suddenly now, the roles are reversed, even though there's kind of hints that maybe she's been torturing children all along to get to the power. So I don't know what she's done exactly. And of course, that's going to be used in the final episode involving Luke and her not doing anything.
Yeah, I don't think she's going to. But here's the thing: I think the whole Luke things, I think, is a red herring.
Which is fine. I mean, Luke has been a red herring this entire season.
yeah, and I think they'll just continue that. Yeah.
Yeah, which is perfectly fine, because again, this is a weirdly paced show. My point was, I was not stuck on her getting stabbed as a kid, because honestly, did not see it through by my head. But then I got that 5-minute speech from you, and now I'm like, okay, all right, Will, you just can't let me enjoy any part of this. Okay.
Sorry. Well, I just, yeah.
It's been said, it's been recorded, no take backs.
Yeah, no, I'm not taking it back. I thought it was just one of those things that I was thinking about with these folks, and yeah, just figured I'd just put it out there.
I like watching this episode. I had a lot of I always, watching this entire show, I've had so many Rogue One vibes, and I much prefer Rogue One over this. But this episode, Last Jedi. And I know I've listened to enough people talk about this that I think I'm one of the few people to make that comparison. And it kind of shows you my history with this franchise of why I'm going there instead of another movie. But to me, I'm just especially the final, the final result, I'm just like, man, he just pulled a Kylo, and Obi just pulled a Luke, and man, they got a lot of bait switching and like chess game going on here, but a chess game that I've seen before. And I'm not saying that they did it better, because I don't necessarily think that. I don't know. It feels like I'm trying to rack my brain with this show. Like, what is the quote unquote new lesson or new moral of the story that we're taking away? Or is it the same one that has been done 7 billion times in this exact universe?
Yeah, I hear you there. I mean, I think I don't know if there's anything new that we're getting here. I mean, and maybe that's, and I guess that's the hard thing about when you do prequels, because we know what's to come. And so, like, for example, like, that's why I said Luke's the red herring, because unless Obi like intercepts Vader or something, I mean, Vader, I don't think he's going to end up in Tatooine. I mean, they'll probably fight somewhere else, or yeah, and you know, to your point about the ship being pulled down, I mean, I know that was actually first introduced in the video game, but it was also in live action with the you know, with Kylo and Rey fighting over the little transport and in Last Jedi. So
didn't they do that? No, they did that in
was it
Rise. They did that in Rise of Skywalker.
Right, that's right. Yeah, they all yeah. But yeah, but
I just felt like Luke projecting himself at the end of Jedi or Last Jedi.
Yeah.
And Kylo only seeing him, and like that being the decoy. That, to me, I drew more of a comparison. And I get it. It's like there are better comparisons beat for beat.
Yeah.
But the character beats and what they're trying to explain in terms of like the grandfather and the grandson and why they're a Sith, and that anger and that desire to win at all costs and to beat that opponent. Like Obi, the more we get into the show, is reminding me more and more of the Luke that apparently everybody hated during the most recent trilogy.
Yeah. You're right. He really is, and I think that's why I like it. But also I guess the thing that I have liked about this series has been the progression we saw with Obi-Wan, from where we saw him at the end of Revenge of the Sith and the beginning of this series as a very broken man, a defeated man, and him getting his mojo back, as far as being a Jedi, being a smart general, knowing how to, you know, as he said in this episode, there's other ways to fight beyond just beyond lightsaber, and to your point, I mean, that we saw that similar path with Luke as he grew older and became a Jedi Master himself. I mean,
I think I think both of them experienced very traumatic events that caused them to disown the I wanted to say faith, but it's not the faith. But,
faith in the Force.
The Force.
Yeah.
And turn their backs on, and then like whether it be little Leia or Rey, like they push back into it because the fight isn't over, and they're like, there's potential to actually do good even though you've done bad before. So, and I think that this show is doing that better than the latest saga.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's why people are really clamoring, because that's what you wanted to see with Luke. but they didn't get there fully. But you're really seeing that more fleshed out here. So I think there's a lot of that motivation for why people are really enjoying this, which, like, don't get me wrong, it's fine. I do think personally, I would love to binge this. This does feel, and the runtime of these episodes are just killing me because they seem so freaking short.
Yeah. I know.
And especially like there's so much action that I'm like, okay, so when are we gonna get like actual character beats? And we got more of them in this episode. I don't think enough, but it really seems like they hit fast forward on some parts where I'm just like, man, if you just were given a little bit more time, who knows what you could do. Anything else you want to say about Obi-Wan before we move on?
No, I think you're right. I mean, I think there's the pacing of this series would have benefited them to let a few things breathe a little bit longer than they have.
Man, I think let's keep it G still and continue with Miss Marvel.
Yeah. Speaking of Camille, we got a little Kang. He's gotten referenced twice this week. We see him on the screen, and we get him referenced in his character in Eternals, referenced in Miss Marvel.
Wait, who did we see twice?
Kango. Remember he was in the Eternals, Camille?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, whenever they were whenever she was with Cameron, they were talking about that they referenced him then.
Yep, I was totally watching the show during that part and not cooking. Totally watching the show during that part. I like this episode a lot better than I liked the first episode.
I did too.
I don't know where I was during the first episode, but I felt like she just had one friend during that episode, and then suddenly she has like these other people, and I'm like, who are interesting. And I'm not saying that guy, his name is Kevin.
Bruno. Yeah.
Bruno. Bruno is not interesting. It's just I felt like we got more stories. I love the whole campaign to be on the board. I like all of that politics with her cousin. And I like the family background. We talked about this a little bit last week about how they're doing a twist on the origin, and it looks like it is going to be family. Who knows? Maybe she still is an Inhuman, but there is something about her family, and specifically on her mom's side, that is connected to why she's able to have this powers. And I like that point that they did where it's like, it looks like the power is coming from you, not necessarily the bracelet.
Yeah.
So I like all of that stuff. Even though this is a longer runtime than Obi, there's something about this show. It just moves quick.
It does.
Very quick. Yeah. And, again, it was very much an upgrade from last week for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think, even though for me, what's been so great about this series, it's just very endearing and just very, I was thinking about it as I was watching it, speaking of G-rated and we have, on the one hand, we have the boys, and then on the other hand, and on the other side, we have Miss Marvel, and it's great to be a fan, but for me at this point, because I'm having the best of both worlds here, because this show could easily be hokey and corny, right? And fall into the teenage tropes that we have seen, in genre and outside of genre, when you're dealing with kids and teenagers coming of age and learning life and experiencing things. But this show is is doing it well, and even everything from, like you said, with their friendships and again, just how organically they just live their lives, and as far as yes, she is Muslim, she's Pakistani, she's an immigrant family, but it's just like, okay, yeah, this is our community, this is how we roll, and it's not like they do the obvious like token, like this is my token Muslim friend or token whatever. It's just like it's just very natural.
Yeah.
And yeah. And I think that's one of the strengths about this show is they just like this is how we see the community and the diversity of the community. Like her brother's fiance or girlfriend is she's African American and she's Muslim. So I mean, it's just so many different little things that they do in the show that I just, I'm really enjoying, and some of the cultural things that happen, especially when I recognize it, because just again from just personal experience, I just laugh and there's that, and then also her learning how to use her powers, and as you said, the powers are coming from within. The bangle is just sort of like, I guess, helps to maybe focus that energy as far as when she's building these constructs, and so I think I see where they're going as far as her power set, and maybe and thinking about how this is tying to Captain Marvel, and how at least in the MCU, her powers were, she learned it from the Kree. So so maybe since instead, they're twisting things now, that maybe her great grandmother, who initially had this bangle and these powers, were maybe trained that way, by the Kree or something like that, instead of being an inhuman. Because I just don't think, the way the MCU has structured things, I just don't know if they're going to put that into this live action version of Marvel Comics, and maybe they will, but it just seems that they're really going to doing these constructs and doing a more almost kind of Green Lantern type of power, more so than the polymorph inhuman powers that she has in the comic book.
So what is the exact relationship with Karman and Kamala?
So I know in the comic they
what is it in the show?
In the show, I think, well,
are they related?
I think her mother, I think his mother is, I think they're twisting things from the comic, because I guess in the comic his parents were villains, and I think that's the case here. I don't think it's gonna be a situation where they are like distantly related or anything like that. No, I mean, I think that they are going to, I think his mother is using him to get to the bangle, because probably a generation, great, maybe back, go back to Pakistan and India when they had the big partition. Maybe that was part of the, they knew about these powers and stuff, and she
okay.
His ancestors, the forebears knew about the Kamala's great grandmother.
That makes a lot more sense to me.
Yeah.
You did lose me a little when you said, like, in the books they are villains, but you think that it's going to be a twist, but they're going to be villains here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I think that's where they're going here. I think, and maybe whenever Kamala is seeing his mother in those visions, it's just like a warning, like, hey, these people are bad. Watch out. It's not that. That's not. I don't think it's her grandmother that she's seeing.
Right. I mean, I lean more towards you, because I mean, Disney never repeats the same mistakes, and we don't need some like weird. I don't know where I'm going with it, but I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's that's not I don't think that's a great grandmother that she's seeing there. I think that's like a warning, like, hey, watch out. This woman, watch out for this person because they're not there to do good things. And I just thought it was funny with speaking of the grandmother and stuff. It just reminds me of like my mom whenever she's on like when I've talked to my mom on like WhatsApp or whatever, and like her face is like right in the camera. Right. Oh yeah, that's what I mean by the show. Just have where it could like be it could be it could go one way or another, and they're making it work.
Right. Yeah. No, it's they're doing stuff right. We'll see where it goes, how it all gets connected, and what is the true lineage. Man, we gotta jump into the boys. And I still don't know how to segue from Miss Marvel to the boys, or from the boys to Miss Marvel. Like, very different shows. So we get Jensen, we get Soldier Boy at the end of this. Soldier Boy takes out the one girl of the boys, and I'm very sad. But likely she's not dead, in my opinion. No. But man, she got screwed up. We saw Jensen's ass, which I do remember watching that. Just putting that out there. And we there. I don't know what it is with me right now. For some reason, I just am not. It's good. And like, I love the scene between Stan and Homelander. I love that moment, that whole confrontation. I like it at the end when Homelander's like, guys, when are you gonna realize I can outplay you with this stuff? I mean, Starlight, are you kidding me? You are outmatched, not just from a power perspective. And that's honestly, looking back, something that they are doing a lot more of this season than I think in the previous two seasons, where, like, you guys forget, Homelander is not just Homelander because of his powers, but he is such a mastermind that there were a few times in this episode, whether it be Starlight or Victoria, Newman and Stan, where he's just like, no, I'm going to totally flip this on you guys, and this is who you're facing up against. This brilliant poker player. And which, I mean, the reason why the Stan scene will stick out is because Homelander, like, when he's not using, like it was kind of surprising, like, him not just killing Stan at any point in that scene and letting him walk away. And Stan knew, like, Stan was trying to prove to him, you think that you, like, are running this, sir? It's fine that you turned her against me, because I still know that you're pathetic.
Yep.
You're like there's so much, and he said it with the confidence that Homelander isn't going to kill me, and I'm like, what do you know that we don't know?
Exactly. I was just like, that was probably so far this season, that was the one point where I was really on the edge of my seat, like, oh shit, Homelander's gonna kill Stan, and because I mean, Stan just kept needling and it was like, and when he like said, and everybody's gonna see you for what you are, bad product. And I thought that was going to be the thing that was going to, like, Homeland was just going to, like, laser beam him right then and there. But Stan was like, just walked right on out. And even like Homelander, whenever he was talking to Victoria, he's like, you're probably thinking about, like, popping my melon right here. I'd like to see you try it.
Yeah.
And so And so I was like, now is Homelander, is it one of those things where he has like a failsafe built in him, inside him, where he can like reverse that stuff back on her? Or is it just that supreme confidence like that Stan has, where no matter what happens, at the end of the day, I know that you're not going to like kill me. In the case of Homelander, Victoria, and in the case of Stan and Homelander, Stan's like, I at the end of the day, he just knows Homelander's not going to kill him.
Right. Well, or maybe he's just thinking probability of it would be pointless, and Homelander wouldn't just kill somebody to like without. I don't see, even trying to say it, I can't even finish that sentence because Homelander, you never know if which way he's going to go, especially with confrontation.
True. But I think with Stan, because with Homelander and Stan, all they're seeing is just like, where like, to your point, with Homelander and Starlight, Homelander was playing chess, Starlight was playing checkers. Stan and Homelander, it's like two grandmaster chess players going at it.
Yeah.
And it's like, who's going to be the one that ultimately slips up and makes a mistake that will allow them to get checkmated? And it's just like Stan it doesn't seem to me that Stan probably saw this coming.
Yeah, well, I mean, Stan wasn't surprised.
Yeah.
Like, he even said, like, I taught her to play all sides. So, like, he's not mad at her. He's not angry that he got outwitted in this. But he also knows, like, he's gonna have time to set up another play and figure something out. And Homelander's gonna slip because I think the way he sees it, the further control gets removed from Vought and Homelander, the more likely Homelander will slip.
Yeah. And
something will happen. And so I guess he's just like, well, I've been keeping this under the wraps, but if you don't want me in your way, I will gladly step aside so you can like screw this up for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But then you just think about that I think it was the first episode where he gives that speech, like Homelander is not afraid to become the villain of the story.
No, that's true. He's not. Here's
the Homelander. You are the villain.
But I mean, the Stan doesn't because I mean, everybody Maeve, they think they'll use the plane incident on the plane. I mean, there was the young lady, the first 3 episodes this season where Homelander may have pushed her off the building. Well, probably, whenever he found out Stormfront was, died or was killed by probably more likely killed by Black Noir. But, so Stan's just sort of like, yeah, you're right. He knows at some point Homelander's going to do something that's going to turn the tide of public opinion against him.
Right.
And he has, and then the 2 aces in the hole are Black Noir and Soldier Boy, which we see Soldier Boy, like, we saw with
Stan doesn't know that the boys are going after Soldier Boy.
True, but he has Black Noir there to be the fail-safe that could also take out Homelander. Well,
yeah, and I think he also thinks Victoria would have a shot too.
Yeah.
I think fail-safe or not, Stan doesn't care. Like, he's old enough. He's just like, I'm just glad to be a player.
Yeah, glad to be a player.
This far, I still don't really understand what the end game is, but yeah, I don't know, and I was gonna say that I think part of the reason why this season in particular it's off for a slow start for me is because and we talked a little bit about this last week, like the first 2 seasons, the game was clearly the boys versus Homelander. And because the boys have had to regroup they're off on this. They're still going after Homelander, but they're so removed. Like they were in Russia.
Yeah. Yeah.
they're going on this mission that you're just like, okay, so this season, it's definitely going to bleed into the next season. So this whole arc, and I don't like those, like it feels much, the more the season goes on and the more their arcs, especially with the boys, come to fruition, the more I keep thinking, oh, is this season, like retrospectively, just going to be, how do we get from season 2 finale to season 4? Is that what this is going to turn into? Much more like I mean, and like, don't get me wrong, I understand the events of this season are going to be very important for the long run of these characters, but at the same time, it feels like Huey, I'm often like him. I don't know. It's just there seems to be like a few different games going on, and it feels much more detached than we have had seen in previous seasons.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I mean, because really this episode was finally the boys actually doing a mission, and even the mission that they were doing, it was twofold. One, they were paying off Cherie's debt. I mean, so to Nina. So and as part of that, they also did have this goal of going to Russia to try to find this weapon to take out Homelander. So yeah, so it was a lot going on. I mean, there were they also had the thing where they were trying to take out had to take out the mob boss there, and which was I will say the over the topness stuff. I mean, yeah, there were a lot of the ramming people with dildos and stuff, but this week it seemed that it seemed as, I don't know if it's because it was just one episode instead of like 3. It didn't seem as much, but I felt that this week was a lot more character stuff than I felt in the last, especially when you think about Butcher and Mother's Milk conversation about why Butcher was recruited Mother's Milk and wanted him back, and just talking to him about how he's, for example, really the glue that holds everything together. And then once everything did fall apart there at the end, with Kimiko getting zapped by Soldier Boy, we're left in a place. Huey's like all in. Huey's all euphoric over the Compound 24, and Butcher is, he's right that the V is not power. It really is a punishment, and we've seen we've seen the results of that again. So there's, I think, for me, I messaged you earlier in the week. I was like, I thought this was a much better episode, and I'm getting back. I was like back into that boys mindset where I was like, oh yeah, I'm rocking this series again.
Forever the optimist, Will.
Yeah, forever the optimist. Yeah, well, like I said, maybe it really was the thing of, I guess it was just one episode, and have a moment to let things sort of breathe for a week before I get to the next episode. unlike having the first 3 drop like the way it did, and it's just so much information that you're having to soak in, and then with all the other craziness that comes with it when you're watching the boys.
You're right, definitely craziness indeed. And on that note, Will, why don't you tell our listeners where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me at Will M. Polk on Twitter, WILLMPOLK.
You can find me at SJ Belmont, SJBELMONT. Please follow our crew on Twitter at SNN Nerd, friend us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and visit our website, www.snnnerdpodcast.com. But most importantly, rate, follow, and comment on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Good night, Geek Out. You're welcome.